I'm here today with Mark Garcia, who was recently hired as the executive director by the Railroad Commission that governs the Cumbres and Toltec Railroad. And Mark, I just learned that you were born in Santa Fe.
That's correct.
Give us a little bit about your history, because I know that you also worked here in Pagosa Springs.
Well, actually, was born in Las Vegas, New Mexico, but I was pretty much raised in Santa Fe. Graduated from Santa Fe High School and went on to the University of New Mexico and received a bachelor's degree in mechanical engineering. And I crammed 4 years of college into 10. I was one of those students and enjoyed quite a few adventures in and around New Mexico. But upon finally finishing college, I worked for the Department of Defense in California, worked for the Navy, traveled all around the world working on logistic ships and other logistic problems for the Navy, and then returned to the Southwest with my wife and moved to Pagosa Springs back in 1994, and started a family and reside in Pagosa Springs. I've been in local government since moving to Pagosa Springs and worked in a number of communities as manager and interim manager and project manager. Have my own company, and most recently started working for the for the Cumbres and Toltec Scenic Railroad as their executive director.
We will. You'll sometimes think that you're also working for the Friends because we keep bringing stuff in over the door.
No problem.
Randy Randall, who's one of the commissioners, told me that they did an area-wide interview and application process, and that they got 20 applications, winnowed it down to 6, and interviewed 3, and you were one of the interviews. What was that interview like?
Well, it was kind of interesting. The other commissioner, Pete Foster, who's the chairman of the commission right now, is the one that actually contacted me and asked me if I would be interested in the position. I was unaware of their advertising for an executive director. I'd worked with Leo when I was working in the town of Antonito back in 2009. So I knew of the train, met Randy and Pete both at that time, and didn't know that they were actually hiring. So it was a welcome call. I was in between jobs, and I went ahead and submitted information and went through the interview process. A lot of my skills and experience actually dovetail really well with the train, and I think it's going to be a good fit for what I have and can bring to the organization. And it's a new arena which is fascinating to me, and I'm looking forward to learning more and working on the railroad.
I think the commission believes, in my opinion correctly, that they needed somebody with business skills to have that job, and organizational skills. It sounds like your background includes a lot of that. You were in city government here in Pagosa and in Antonito, is that correct?
That's correct. When I left the town of Pagosa Springs as town manager, I formed a consulting company, and I have been consulting throughout southern Colorado to small communities, counties, towns, and governments, and Antonito was one of them.
The town of Antonito has recently applied for and gotten a grant to stabilize, restore the original depot. Can you tell us anything about that?
Yeah, matter of fact, in 2009, when I was working for the town, I was on contract with them to work on an organizational assessment for the town government, and worked to promote from within a new town manager, and also trying to work for more revenue into the town. We identified some areas that we needed to work towards, and one was restoration of the depot, which would be a key part of a downtown restoration movement, potentially. I wrote 2 grants, one to the State Historic Fund, and a second grant to CDOT, Colorado Department of Transportation, and we were funded on both of those to the tune of about $270,000 for depot restoration. The State Historic Fund grant, $98,000 would be for interior restoration. The remainder of it would be the exterior, and that's to be funded through CDOT. And there was some dollars out of that 270 that would go towards sidewalk improvements and some access, basically improve the access in and around the depots. You probably know it's not easily accessible with the different tracks running through there, at the San Luis line, and just the old lines that were in and around that historic depot. To my knowledge, they have not moved forward with that grant. I know they haven't moved forward with that grant. They've run into a number of obstacles, and unfortunately, nothing has been done to utilize those funds and restore the depot.
That's too bad. But you said something that I bet is magic to the commissioner's ears, is that you've written grants and successfully. Would I be correct in guessing that they've said that that will be on part of what's on your plate?
That's correct. That is a high priority for them. I've already finished my third week, and I submitted a grant to the Anschutz Foundation for an economic impact study, and hopefully we'll hear fairly quickly on that. They have a fairly quick turnaround on their grant review process, and we're working on another grant with the State Historic Fund and hope to have that in by their April 1 deadline.
Is that Colorado State Historic?
That's correct, yes.
Would those funds go to anything particular?
The economic impact study was going to study the economic impact of the train in Chama and Antonito, and then also the regions surrounding there. The train has a big impact regionally, and from there we hope to garner much needed information on our value in those communities, jobs, what our payroll does, and so on. It's going to help us understand a lot of information that's needed for more grants. And then the Anschutz, I'm sorry, that was the Anschutz grant. The State Historic Fund grant through History Colorado is the first grant in the Historic Car Fleet grant, which Commissioner Dan Love has initiated. So we're going to work to get a grant in, and that's going to be probably a multi-year funding commitment if we can secure the first phase of funding. And we're trying to meet with History Colorado and share with them our vision and get some guidance from them on how they want us to proceed with it. But it's an excellent project.
I know that you've only been on the job a short period of time, but have you been able to visit with any of our state representatives and senators from the area?
Yes, I have. Randy Randall and I were before the House Appropriation Committee a week and a half ago or so, and talking about our funding for the commission. We have two funding submittals in there. One is funding for the commission. The other primary one is our capital funding, and that there's 4 or 5 projects or line items that are part of that request, and that goes under a different funding bill, a capital bill.
It'll be nice if the railroad can get on the capital side of things instead of just the annual expenditures.
I'm sorry, say again?
It'd be nice if the railroad, the commission, can get on the capital side of appropriations and get away from just annual, I don't know what you call them, but annual fundings. Well, so there's a steadier income stream.
And both states have funded us on a steady basis, and Randy's excellent down there advocating for our needs. The capital funding is our bread and butter for the most part. That's where the bulk of our funding comes from, and it goes towards cars, track, locomotive repairs, and some depot work in Chama right now. So we have $980,000, I think, in funding requests for capital projects alone.